Sometimes I try to be as stupid as I possibly can, and this is definitely an example of that.
Blake, it is so nice to meet you, first of all, but right off the top, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
4 years? 4 years. That's a long time for your fans to wait patiently for an album. What's been the holdup, Blake?
Well, when you get as old as I am, 4 years is like nothing. It doesn't even feel like it's been like 6 months since I made a record. So in my defense, it's funny, not until I started doing, some of these interviews to promote the record that people started pointing that out. And I didn't realize, I knew it had been a couple of years, I guess. I didn't realize it had been 4, but I know why. I mean, I retired from The Voice. I did that show for 12 years. And so when I finally retired from the show, I was like, man, I'm going to the house and I'm shutting the gate and putting a lock on it, and I'm not coming out for a while, because we were doing 2 seasons a year, every year for 12 years, plus releasing albums and tours and everything else that happens in this business, which I'm not complaining about. I've been the luckiest guy on the planet, but when it came to an end there, I really indulged in not doing anything, but I got to tell you, last summer when I got a phone call or a text that Post Malone wanted me to sing a song on his record, and then I obviously was happy to do that, and then the song took off. It really fired me up and got me back in the mode and
nice.
And it was what I needed to be like, hey, wake up, you're still a country singer and you got a job to do, so we got back in the studio and put this thing out.
You're a country singer for life. You're a country singer for life. You're a legend. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, thank you. That's sweet.
But I will say, I actually really respect that honest answer, because I think so often we think people who are legends and who have all these amazing records and work on these great shows, that they don't need a break. You know what I mean? Like, we're just so used to always seeing you on our screens, always bringing your A game, that people forget that you're also a human who needs sleep, who needs to just take a minute for himself, and his family. So I respect that. So, so I forgive you.
Okay.
I forgive you
Thank
for
God.
waiting that
Thank
long.
God.
Okay. We started off rough there, Blake, for a second. But listen, you have been busy though, right? You had your Vegas residency, the tour as well, now this album. First of all, like, when do you sleep? Like, this is, like, your life has just been this amazing ride.
I try to do things in segments and when I can, and so when we plan these tours, we plan them like a year ahead of time, because if you're going to play an arena somewhere, it takes a year to get one locked down, and and so I'll go, all right, look, for me, there's nothing going on in my life in the month of February and March. Like, those are sucky months for me. It's like still cold and there's nothing to do. That's when I want to go tour. Fill up my February and March with a tour, and that way by April, when it's time to start farming and things that my hobbies, I have time to go do that. So I feel like that's the way to do it. And at this point in my life too, I've decided that I'm never going to let it. I'm never going to chase this thing so hard that I feel like I'm just on the hamster wheel again. There's just, I want to be always excited about what I'm doing in my career. And I think by having some space in between these projects, that's the best way for me to be fired up about when they finally get here, when I'm finally releasing a new album. It's been a long time, I'm super excited about it. I don't feel like it's like, oh my God, now here I'm right back in it again,
Well, I'm glad that you did that for yourself too, because you do really sense it in this album. Texas, your debut, such a vibe. It's like, it's almost one of those songs that you just want to keep playing over and over again. You also have since released Let 'Em In Anyways, Stay Country or Die Trying. Love these titles, first of all. But the album title is what gets me, for recreational use only. I mean, we can go a lot of places with that. So, but the names that I even mentioned, all the songs put together, how do they encompass that very interesting title?
Well, I've never taken myself too serious, and I think if people have followed me at all, they know that by now. And so I try to have fun with these album titles. Sometimes I try to be as stupid as I possibly can. And this is definitely an example of that. My man. It's funny. For me, I spend so much time making a record and trying to find the best music I can find and record. But the last thing on my mind is then what to name the album. It's just like I don't know,
Yes.
name it. Blake Shelton Part 8 or whatever, it is. And they're like, no, we need an album title.
People would still buy it. People would still buy it. That's the great thing.
Well, I just wanted something that I figured people could remember. And I thought, well, that'll work, for recreational use only. People know not to take me serious, and so you can put this album in, and there's some sad country songs, there's some fun country songs. I think it's got pretty much everything that people have come to expect from a record from me. Hopefully with some new topics and different ways of looking at stuff,
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's safe to say it would be a little bit strange if we didn't have Gwen on there with you for at least one song, right? It would be really strange. I think people would start talking.
Well, listen, Sonia, if you had Gwen Stefani in your house and you were making a record, I mean, you would be an idiot not to say, hey, will you please sing one of these songs with me?
Especially if I was married to her.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Because we know a happy wife equals happy life.
That's
you know
right.
what I
That's
mean?
Right.
And you seem like a really smart man who knows how to keep his wife happy too. But we were so happy to see that collaboration. And we've obviously seen you guys work together. But I'm curious to know what the dynamic is like in the studio, because both of you are so ridiculously talented in your own right.
Oh my God.
And then to bring these two giants together in the music world, like, what does that look like?
Well, it just looks like fun. I mean, that's all we do when we get in the studio together. We have so much fun, and Gwen is so good at harmonies and picking out parts and messing with stuff like that, and I never really had the ear for that like she does, and she never really got to do a ton of that in the past, and so since we've been working together, she's gotten to really explore more of that kind of thing, especially with this particular song you're talking about, Hanging On. It's got some pretty big moments in there, and it was a challenge for me to sing, which is exactly why we wanted to do it. But it was probably a bigger challenge for Gwen, because she had to sing those parts over the top of my vocal, and
wow.
I don't think people until recently realize, when you think of Gwen Stefani, you think of, the pop star and the icon she is, and I don't think people ever really have given her the credit of being an incredible vocalist, and when you listen to some of the stuff she's done in the last couple of years, you can hear all the different nuances and just how powerful of a vocalist she is, and it's pretty amazing. I think she just gets better and better as time goes by.
I could not agree with you more. Her range of her vocals, people do not, I think her true fans know. Yeah. Her true fans really know how she can hold a note for so long, and not the easiest note either. So I love that. But you know what I love most is how sweet you two are about each other in the public. This is what we live for. Like all these couples who are like, oh, I want to keep my life private. You're like, why? Like the rest of your life is out in the open. Tell us about your love life. But like, you are always championing for her. She's always championing for you. And often people are like, oh, some people choose to stay private. And like I said, that's boring. But why has that always worked for you guys? Because like, that's what I want. That's what you guys are like relationship goals in that sense.
Well, I think you nailed it when you said, everything else about us is public, and I would never want to cast any kind of a shadow or weirdness on the thing that I'm most proud of, you know, in my life,
Yeah.
which is Gwen and my relationship with her. You know, you can, everything else takes a back seat to that, music or this album or a tour. The thing that I'm most proud of is that, and of course I'm going to shout it from the mountains, and I'm proud of it, you know, and I have nothing to hide about, you know, about that. I'm married
I
to Gwen
love it.
Stefani. Who the hell wouldn't shout that from
Like seriously,
from the
like
mountains, you
Shelton.
know?
Seriously. Also, I mean, might I remind you, 2017 Sexiest Man Alive by People
Oh
magazine.
my God,
Do you know what
that's
I'm
right.
saying? Like, you got a little flex there too, Blake. So you both of you are doing all right. I am curious to know though, which song on this album, and I know it's not fair to ask. It's like asking you to pick a favorite child. It's easy for me because I only have one kid. But for you, what song would you say is like one of your not favorite, but like the one that you like shouting from the mountaintop?
You know, I go back and forth, but there's a song on there called "The Keys" that I think it's the second to the last song on the album, and you know, it's just such a well written song. I was just blown away by this song, and if you hear the song, I'm guilty of this for a lot of reasons, but it's a song about never throwing away any keys, you know, and literally keys like on your key ring, and I'm guilty
So
of that for two
true.
reasons. First of all, I don't know if half the time I don't know what the keys even go to, and I'm afraid I'm going to throw something away that I need. But the other half the time, it's like, oh man, that's the key to my first apartment in Nashville. I'm keeping that
Oh,
forever, or the key to some lock to a gate, you know, or whatever. That just kind of has some sentimental value to it, and that's literally what the song is about. And it's just so well written and such a cool melody that, you know, whenever if I do have a moment where it's like, oh, I want to listen to this album and just see if it still stands up, you know, the keys
yeah.
is always the one that I end up getting most excited about every time I listen to
Oh,
it.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna go have a listen to it one more time
Yeah.
now that I know more about it. Really quickly, we love, obviously I'm sure you miss Adam. We loved the rivalry
No,
between the two
not at
of
all.
you.
He's a complete idiot.
He was on Seth Meyers and he was still taking jabs at you. I mean, like, what is it between you two? How how can we settle this? Do you both need to fly to Canada and this is where we settle it?
I guess so. I guess, you know, it's like, and it'll still be like, you know, just last week I tried to FaceTime him to talk to him about something, and he didn't answer, and I knew he wasn't going to answer. And then the next day he tries to FaceTime me, and it's like, I'm not answering your call. You didn't answer me when I called, you know. Then he'll text and be like, hey, idiot, did you call me? Because now I've got time. It's like, no, I didn't even, that wasn't me. It says it was you on my phone, you know.
You're like, that
We,
was a butt
we
dial.
still have those kind of spats to this day.
I love that so much. We love that so much. And listen, anytime you want to come to Canada, we're happy to take you both and just sit on our red couch and just let you both hash it out. He, of course, has an album coming out as well. He made that announcement. Do you guys like tell each other when this is happening? Do you plan this, or are you like, why is he releasing an album same year as me?
I don't know why he's releasing an album at all, because nobody's gonna want to hear it, you know.
Shots fired.
Hopefully he has some great collaborations on there, some other artists that people will actually be interested in hearing, and he can get some downloads that way.
I can't wait to throw this clip out. This is going to be great. Blake, before you go, I would love to get your perspective. You mentioned Post Malone, of course, working
Yeah.
with him. You know, we've got this really interesting time where people are realizing that country music is music for everyone, and
Yeah.
it's a genre that is for everyone, and it's inclusive. Jelly Roll, Post Malone, both of them started as rappers and then made a beautiful transition to country. What's your take on how country music needs diversity as well as inclusion in that way?
Yeah. Well, you know, I can speak to the Post Malone thing firsthand, you know, and
Yeah.
to me, it's more odd now that I know Post that he was ever a rapper, because
Interesting.
you know, he's a guy who grew up down in Dallas, Texas, and he knows as much about country music as any country artist I've ever met. I mean, I'm not even kidding about that. It's actually
Wow.
unbelievable, you know, that he's a student of it. And, you know, why wouldn't you want that guy, you know, representing, you know, a genre that means so much to him? You know, I have no idea what his plans are moving forward, but I'll be surprised if his next move isn't another country album, because he seems so comfortable and at home doing it. And I don't know for sure about Canada, but I know in the U.S. there's more country radio stations than any other format in our country, and it may be the same in Canada, and so that covers a lot of people and a lot of territory, you know, and there's all kinds of people that are listening, you know, and of course they all need to be sang to, you know, and it needs to be represented by everybody that's listening. Also needs to be performing, you know. So I think as long as the thing about country music fans is, and I'm one of them, we know when something is authentic or not, you know, and we can see through that. And so sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and it just is what it is, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, there is a huge country fan base here in Canada who
I know Canada's been
we've got our
so
Stampede in Calgary. You'd be surprised to know my family side, we're all like I come from a line of farmers, and let me tell you, like my uncles and aunts, like it's amazing how much country music that they listen to. So when I tell my auntie that I talked to Blake Shelton, she's gonna be like, what? Are you kidding me? So yes, huge fan. Thank you so much for that. And I'll leave you with this. I do absolutely love your song, God Gave Me You. That's one of my absolute favorites.
Oh my God, thank you.
And what I will say is that we are so thankful that God gave us you.
That's very sweet of you. Thank you so much.
So great to chat with you, Blake. And tell Gwen we said hello from Canada.
I'll do it. Thank you so much, Sonia.
Give her a little peck on the cheek for us.
Count on it.